Welcome, welcome. As you can probably tell right away, you are listening to Focal Point on AFR, and I am definitely not Brian Fisher, although he is someone that I greatly admire and certainly do enjoy filling in for. And I'm happy to be here with you today. I am Dr. Gina Loudon. I am your guest host today. And so happy and so blessed, frankly, to get to be with you. Radio is my first love, and I'm doing way too much television right now. I said to someone this morning who was telling me TV and radio, we were kind of debating back and forth, what's better? And I said, television is important for sound bites. Television is important for those who want their information encapsulated in small, bite-offable bits. I just made up the word bite-offable. I do make up words all the time, and we just go ahead and say they belong in the doctionary. That's Dr. Gina Loudon, the doctionary. So it works for us. Small, bite-offable pieces. That's what you get on television. But on radio, it's for the thinkers. And of course, AFR being the best of both worlds, because you can watch it or you can listen. So you have both options out there. And I am happy to be with you today. Muscular radio. I've been working out, and I was telling someone, it's funny. I cannot do a pull-up, and I'm embarrassed to say I've been working on doing one measly little pull-up for years and years. And I don't think I've tweeted or posted anything on Facebook in recent history that got more response and more compassionate direct messages than I can't do one pull-up. Everybody has a piece of advice on how to be able to do one pull-up, or how pathetic I am that it should take me this long. And by the way, I still cannot do that one pull-up. But Brian let me fill in for him today anyway. So I'm extra honored, even though I can't do one pull-up. Not even one, Jeff Reed. I'm going to bring Jeff Reed on right now because I want him to update us on our good friend, your host, Brian Fisher, just to let us know. We want to check in and make sure Brian's doing okay. Got a little procedure going today. He was up early this morning, writing on my Facebook page, filling in my friends about the show and how they could be a part of it today and all of that. Jeff, can you just update us on how Brian's doing?
Well, I've been texting him and he hasn't been responding, so I think he's either in doing the procedure right now or he's resting and recovering.
This is not a very serious procedure. We want to make sure his audience knows that. Of course, you never want procedures at all. Everything's serious when it's you or your loved one. But as the way procedures go, this is not something that we need to be terribly alarmed about.
He's just having a couple screws taken out of his hip. He had those in
really
a while
sounds
ago.
Funny when you say it. You a couple screws loose, so he's.
Yeah, he finally admitted that yesterday. But to put a squash to the rumor that he was involved in a crash in a high-speed pursuit of drug cartel members, that's not what happened. He actually was riding a scooter to work one day and slipped and
motor scooter. Yeah. We don't want people. Moms are picturing the little the little red scooters that our kids all ride around the sidewalks. Yeah. That's what moms are picturing right now. We just don't want to picture Brian on one of those, so I want people to know it was a motor scooter.
But he's doing all right. He didn't want to miss today, but I think we're glad to have you on.
Well, I'm really happy to be here. And Jeff Reed, of course, my second favorite producer in the whole entire world. That man is amazing. And Brian is blessed to have you. I know he knows that. I know his audience knows that too. And all the folks at AFR know that because I got to visit there, AFR. And the spirit there, it is such a beautiful place. And I love being there. I love meeting all the people. I got to speak directly with a whole bunch of the folks there at AFR. And I'm just always thankful when I get to be a tiny little part of that great community there. This audience is one blessed audience. If you want to know a little bit more about me, well, of course you can Google me, but I don't recommend that. You can go to drginashow.com, or you can find me on Facebook or Twitter. That is Dr. Gina Loudon. Last name is spelled Loudon, and no one ever spells that right, just for the record. Jeff Reed is just lucky his last name is Reed, because that's easy to spell. You can find my work at WorldNet Daily, WND.com, or also MoneyBizLife.com. That's MoneyBizLife.com. That is where I put the most of my work in every day. But again, today I get to be with you. We're going to talk about some of the things happening in the news that I see are very related. My background is in mental health. I have 2 master's degrees and a PhD in psychologically related fields, if you will. And 2 of the things paramount on my mind. In fact, I spent my week really organizing a protest at the United States-Mexican border over their captivity of our Marine. You know him, Andrew Tamarisi. I've written about this extensively, and I'm going to continue to write about it until things are made right. Andrew, for those of you who've been hiding in a cave and don't know about this, Andrew has been held in a prison in Mexico now for 2 months, 2 whole entire months. And I'm going to fill you in a little bit on this because I've had many, many conversations with his mother, many conversations with Duncan Hunter's office, Congressman Duncan Hunter, who's been at the forefront of this, many conversations with Greta Van Sustren's people, and because she's done extensive coverage on this as well. And I want you to know the facts because lies are starting, and this is how we would expect this to progress. But lies are starting. I even had a man in the service, an enlisted person who's a chaplain on my page yesterday, kind of coming after me for defending Tamarisi, saying, well, there's something too suspicious about this story. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. So today on Focal Point, because I live literally on the border, I'm not trying to be Sarah Palin here, but I can see Mexico from my backyard. And I am not kidding about that. And people never believe me. And then they come to visit me. They're like, holy cow. You could see Mexico from your backyard. I'm like, yes, you can see Mexico from my backyard. I can't say I could. Well, I guess I could almost walk to the border. I really could. And so I am on the forefront here. I really know this border. I really know how confusing this is. So this is what I want you to picture. I want you to take yourself out of America for just a moment. And I want you to put yourself in a third world country for just a moment. And I want you to picture traffic patterns. Now, anyone who's ever driven in a third world country, even the Caribbean, some of the second world areas, you'll see that they just move barricades. And in this particular instance, the signs sit on the ground. Now, I know that sounds crazy. It doesn't sound like it's what you'd think you'd see in America, but it's true. The signs very often in the United States on this side of the border between the United States and Mexico, because it's under so much construction, they're constantly moving the lanes because they're constantly having problems. The signs often will sit on the ground. This particular sign, I'm very familiar with the intersection that Sergeant Tamarisi was trying to cross. The sign sits on the ground. He was in a Ford F-150. I think there are 4 or 5 lanes of traffic there, if I'm not mistaken, and it changes by the day, by the way. So there are several lanes of traffic. He's all the way in the right lane of traffic, if you can visualize this. And there's a sign sitting on the ground that says, if you're going to the United States, you need to U-turn, by the way. The sign is not big. It's not lighted. And he's in a Ford F-150, which, as you know, has... You Southerners know, for crying out loud. And in San Diego, people don't know what a Ford F-150 is. But in the South, you all know what a Ford F-150 is because you drive real cars. And anyway, it sits up a little high. And he's way over to the right. So if there's traffic in the other lanes, which, by the way, there almost always is, it takes about 3 hours to get back across that border. There was no way he could see that sign if it was there. And so it makes sense to me. The other thing that you need to know about this traffic lane that I think is really important information that just doesn't come across when you're watching television. So because I have this kind of special information living on the border, I want you to know is that if you have an internal compass, you think that turning left will put you going north back into San Diego. But turning left puts you in a U-turn going into Mexico. And that's precisely what he did. So we're going to talk more about this. We have his mother, Jill Tamarisi, on the show. We also have Anne-Marie Morell on the show. She was at the border protest with me yesterday. We're going to talk about that. And we also have coming up in the show Tamara Holder. She's on the left side of politics. I've taken her on Fox News many times. But she and I are on the same side of this issue. This is not a political issue, my friends. This is an American, a patriot's issue. So we're going to talk about all of that. Tamara Holder, Jill Tamarisi, Anne-Marie Morell. We're going to get to the San Diego shootings and the gun laws that they're talking about increasing coming up as well. So stay with us.